Today, we're going to be meeting with Doug Benoit from FacialDx. Doug and I met back in May 2026 when he reached out to me to learn more about how our creative services can support FacialDx as they start to scale and commercialize their business. Doug's story really struck me. For a long time now, I've been thinking about this podcast and um, how to bring it to life because I talk to MedTech founders every single day, and their stories constantly fascinate me. I think Doug's story was really the tipping point for me to say, all right, I got to start putting this all together. So I think you're going to find it interesting. So, a little bit about Doug. He spent nearly 24 years in the U.S. military. He joined the Marine Corps at 17 years old. He became an Army intelligence officer after 9/11, which you'll learn actually sparked some of the ideas for Facial DX. He served three campaigns: the Gulf War, Somalia, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was medically discharged with PTSD and a traumatic brain injury. Today, he's the co-founder and CEO of FacialDx, an AI screening platform that identifies life-changing health conditions from photographs of your face. Think about that for a second. So the moment that everything started for him didn't happen in a lab. It actually happened in a VA waiting room and on a 90-day road trip across America with his wife and 22 veterans he had served with. Here's Doug's story.
My name is Doug Benoit, and I'm CEO, co-founder of a company called FacialDx, which is a non-invasive technology company or screening platform that identifies life-changing health conditions through a platform online or an AI. So it's basically powered by non-invasive biomarkers on your face. We initiated this a few years ago with the whole idea about fixing the gap in the medical space to make everything easier, faster, and more efficient for medical practitioners, human resources, employment services, managers to make executive level decisions with information that is immediately gathered, gained, and analyzed on a device right in front of them.
Mm.
So it removes the timeline, it removes the limitation on resources, it removes the financial burden, it removes the fact that a lot of these medical professionals just simply don't have the time or the the bandwidth to answer the most
Mhm.
basic level questions that can be identified on your face.
Interesting. So the big question is, and the reason that I've started this whole podcast and interview is the aha moment, right? So obviously this is a very unique challenge that you're trying to solve for, and there must be a reason why you're doing that. So like, what was your defining moment that made you realize you needed to do something here?
Yes. Do you want me to give you a short version or
I want you,
the
I want
the
I want the honest version, no matter how
yeah.
long it takes.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of the background as to like why was Facial DX created? What was the real moment that it clicked? And it has a lot to do with the fact that I started the Marine Corps at 17. That was my foundation. That was my core building blocks of who really made me, and it became a problem solver. Like I specialized in small team operations, surveillance target acquisition. And it's where you basically go out, you identify, collect, gather a whole lot of information, you bring it together, and then you make analysis on it. You find that there's a problem and you take the problem out or do something along those lines. And then I went to college afterwards. I loved the military. I wanted to advance my career. And that's kind of, Tim, where I found my entrepreneurial spirit. I started a company in college. And it was for what? It was for solving people's financial problems.
Mhm.
It was international cash funding. We went out and we provided short-term capital for people and small businesses that were in distressful situations. So basically like a bridge. And then 9/11 happened and I was close to graduate. I did that. The business was doing really well. It's in the seven figures, but then I went back into the military, but this time I went into the Army as an intel officer.
Mhm.
So like bigger bigger projections, like strategic operations. And if you follow that track about where it goes, yeah, I spent almost 24 years spanned in the military. I have been three different campaigns. I was in the end of the Gulf War, Somalia. I went to OIF, OEF, deployed multiple times, and then I get medically discharged. So there was a lot of accidents, events that happen. I've been blown up. I've been, IEDs. There's what you name it, it's basically happened. So I got wire in my face. I have this thing called PTSD and traumatic brain injury. And that was my ticket out. Like they're like, hey, thank you for your service, move on. Well, when you spend your whole entire life in there, that's you're like, what do I do now? And so, Tim, I went back, I got another master's degree in finance. I'm great with money and planning and helping. And I did that with small companies for the next few years. And a lot of these are tech companies. And why is this important? Because have you ever asked yourself, like, why are you here? And why are you doing that? And what was the point of it? And it was a series of milestones. I mean, there are some crazy, amazing, and very intelligent people that I had the opportunity to work with. And it's like I'm exposed to this. So like the growth pains, the business development, the strategic planning, the financial integration, the partnering with larger entities, way bigger than I could ever imagine, and then understanding exactly what that space was about. And then COVID happened. Now, Tim, I gave you that military background because it was like the epitome of everything. It's like, you give your life to it and then they kick you out because you got some issues.
Yeah.
We all have issues. Well, on those VA appointments, um, you're waiting 6 to 8 months in between appointments. And then you're on this appointment for 7 minutes. And 6 of those minutes I spent booking the next appointment 8 months down the road.
Hmm.
Now, Tim, that is a serious issue. And it's not just me, it's millions of veterans. And then you move it outside the VA, it's a million, billion other people going through the same process. It's where you're waiting months to get seen or weeks. Then you got to wait a few more weeks after you get seen for the next follow on appointment. So we identified that there was this gap. Well, at that same time frame, one of my friends and partner is on another entity. We had one of his friends came on board, did facial analysis. I'm like, man, that's hocus pocus. That stuff doesn't work. It's all this. He read me like a book. He went into the details. I understood about what, looking at where it was at. And Tim, I spent 3 months after that moment saying, man, is this real? Is this concept great? Couldn't it be done? Went around the United States with my wife. We spent that 90 days meeting 22 of our veteran friends that went through the same process that I did, that we deployed with on multiple occasions. I knew their physical conditions and mental status. We had medical documentation from the VA and from the military. And if that doesn't click anything,
Mm.
you get documented on everything. Like if you stub your toe, you're documented. The VA, you got to prove that you've been like beyond a reasonable doubt, like insanely documented. So I went out to these guys, did the facial analysis concept with them, and came back in an extremely over 90% accuracy on everything across the board.
Hmm.
And when we came back, we sat down and we crunched the numbers and we're like, look, even if we're half accurate, we're more accurate than the average doctor visit that you go into. But the fact that we were batting 95 to 98% accuracy on everything that was coming across, if then that was the clicking point that if we could automate this screening process, that how many lives could we save?
Hmm.
Because Tim, if it didn't touch on it, but if you go back and you look at the documentation, the veteran suicide rate increased 65% during that COVID timeframe. And that's when guys are 15 to 18 months in the process of being documented for something that got them physically removed out of the work employment opportunity that they had.
Hmm.
And so it's really quite extreme. And so after 12 months, they're like, man, I'm 5 different mental or behavioral health doctors that they're going to, repeating the same issue that's driving them crazy or into the mental capacity that they want to take their life. That's why the suicide was so high.
Yeah.
So I'm not a I'm not a behavioral health doctor. I'm not trying to replace doctors. We're not medical practitioners by any sense of the means, but we have identified a technology that identifies features that are associated with these life changing conditions that allows the medical practitioners and the professionals to ask more pointed questions
Hmm.
on that first interview. Like they could have all the data that they want. I mean, from our analysis, Tim, and we'll probably dive into this later, but we could create 150 pages about every single individual that does the 5 scans of their face and runs it through there.
Hmm.
But nobody has time to read that. So we make it easier and faster that it just scans, pops up, identifies these features that are associated with it, and then is available for the doctor to access it.
Yeah.
That's not even just the doctor. Dating services, human resources, employment opportunities,
Yeah.
sports, you name it.
Yeah, this is a very, very big idea. And when I first met you and I went through your website and went through the process, I definitely wasn't a believer. It seems a little hokey at first. Take a couple pictures and we'll tell you your whole life, your whole health history and what's wrong with you and how we can fix you. So I mean, sorry. So walk me through what the process should look like. Right. So let's go back how many years it was, after you got discharged. And it sounds like you feel like you might have been wrongly discharged, right? If you had the accurate health assessment that maybe you wouldn't have been discharged so early, right?
Mhm.
So like what should have the process been like if you had your tool, right? If the doctor had your tool X amount of years ago, you walked in, what would happen? What would it look like?
Well, you ever, I can easily admit I was wrong.
Mm,
Like in 2015, I had to shift it drastically into another reason. Like if I would have had this technology back around that time frame, I thought that PTSD was just a hoax.
mhm.
I didn't believe in it. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm like, look, everybody's stressed out. Every mission you go on, you're stressed out. Everything, every training environment, whatever you're doing, you're stressed out. You have anxiety. You got a high level of hypervigilance. But I didn't really believe in PTSD. So to me, it didn't mean anything. Traumatic brain injury, yeah, it's a physical damage. It's in the head. I've had multiple concussions. I've been in a coma for like 10 days. It's there's stuff. So yes, I do have issues. So I was rightfully removed from the
Mhm.
military because of it. But I was so focused on the mission and the intent and doing what I was doing that I was oblivious to it. So oblivious, Tim, that my marriage was probably over. We had 2 kids at the time. This is my second wife. I'm working from 4:30 in the morning to 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and then trying to run another business, an LED business, between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
Um, and I was oblivious, point blank, Tim. So the military, they did the right thing. They did it. And so they moved me out of that. But what the process normally, I mean, after 24 years, you're usually considering retiring anyway.
Yeah.
I just had a block in service because I went to college for that. But you go through the process, you're doing the mental fit evaluation, your physical, and you retire and you move on, right? Well, you're always going to do something. So the timeline of what happened, it kind of was like God set me right on a path saying, look, buddy, you got to reset. You got to get fixed. Whether I believed that I was broken or not. After that, when we started the process, like 15 to 17, I went back to school trying to get my feet underneath me, get the master's degree in finance, real estate, which I love and do as a hobby. That was like a resetting point. The multiple companies on the end, if I had this technology back then, what we could have done
Mm,
with analysis of everybody, analysis of the investors, analysis of the partners, the strategic operation, the concept, the status of where that CEO is at that time. It's just an awareness. It's not about diagnosing anybody saying, hey, look, you're crazy, you got to do this or
yeah.
not. But it gives you, and then you personally know this by going through the process, it gives you depth about you, like how you like to communicate, how you want to be spoken to, what
Mm,
means something to you, like who you are as an individual. And if you can understand that at a higher level, all communication from that point forward, whether you're doing business, a personal relationship, a father-daughter, a father-son, a mother-son, whatever combination it is, it will make it better and stronger.
Yeah.
So the normal process of like how this would stage, it's simple. It's you can do it on your phone. If you could have this at home, which we do now, you have the consumer app. You just log on and take photos and analyze. That it could build bridges between the valleys or the gaps, just like in our systems, that the whole reason what drove us here was the lack of communication, the speed of processing, the speed at which information was transferred. Like that was the actually my last project in the military, decisive action training environment. Why was it created? It was created to allow us to train in a atmosphere or culture that mirrors us down range,
Mhm.
which allows multiple agencies to plug into a single training environment in real time and have actionable data or intelligence to act upon and
Mhm.
target and move forward for our operations. That was literally what we created for, and that was my last project. And I look at that, I look back at that, Tim, not to ramble on and keep revisiting this moment, but that was really where my firsthand experience in multiple level of classification and information, integrating it into a single platform in real time. And this is from like
Mhm.
2013 to 15, real time application that multiple, like the FBI, the CIA, the Air Force, and the Army can all integrate and act on.
Yeah.
Like that was, I guess, that a snapshot of what we do today.
Yeah. Doug,
Does
the
it make sense?
idea is
Yeah.
so it still blows my mind. I remember talking to you and listening and like and this is not a discredit to you or your marketing materials, but your website doesn't do the job of telling the whole story, right? And so when you started to tell me the story and when we first met, I was kind of blown away. My brain's like twisting and turning. I'm thinking about like the areas that I work in. A lot of our clients are in the aesthetics client, and I think we talked about how like it would be amazing to walk into a dermatologist and take a couple pictures and kind of like get the whole picture of what you need to do to get that perfect skin, right? But I mean, we talked about that. You've talked about doctors. You've talked about finance. You talked about military, like CIA. Like this is and you even talked about dating applications, right? So, I mean, this is such a big idea. Like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, where are you guys focusing? Like, where do you, like, I should say, where do you want to be? Like, where's the starting point for you right now?
Yeah. Well, the starting point initially, I can tell you, oh man, I can tell you a lot of stuff, but from purposes of value, when we first started, my whole vision was to go to the VA. And that was what I presented to. I went to a liaison for the VA. I pitched the concept. They pretty much laughed, said, hey, go back to the university, allow them to take this technology. Then I went out to a medical board, talked to this doctor. It was all about the concept of it until he found out that. Now, I remember his first question. Well, not his first question, but the question that was before he wrote the check, which he did not write, by the way, was, wow, so we'll be able to diagnose within the first 5 minutes of somebody coming in. And I laughed and I thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, no, it really takes about 3 or 4 seconds because of, and I explained our technology and how fast it moves and operates and what it does on your, the device. And he said, oh, whoa, 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 can't do that. That'll impact my bottom line.
Hmm.
And Tim, that was in 2022. And it stuck in it made me sick. I'm like, wow, man. So our Western medicine is so worried about the bottom line, repeat
Hmm.
visits. And his exact words were, if I'm wrong today, in 6 months, I can re-diagnose and issue a new medicine. And I was like, this is so wrong. So at that level. So in my mind, to answer the question about, where did you want to go? I was thinking Mayo Clinic. I'm thinking Banff Health. I'm thinking all the, St. John's, uh, Templeton Hospital, all of these different ones, super high level, because they definitely want to, they don't fit into that mold. They want to cure people. No. So where we do and where we want to focus overall is in we're starting in the ones that are open and receptive to it. And to answer, like, well, what does that mean and who? Is that we are integrating Eastern medicine and Western medicine together, right? We have taken all like thousands of documentations and recordings and books and datas and from both Western medicine concepts, Eastern medicine methodology. We put it in a huge database. We pulled it out of public access. It's in a private little IP database, so nobody influences it.
Hmm.
This is all recorded, proven documentation, and then we fed on that. So we look at, well, who's most receptive to this? Like recently, we went to Perth, Australia. We went to Hong Kong. They already are exposed to Eastern and Western medicine, and they love what we can do to automate that detection process. So we look at holistic care. We look at alternative medicines. We look at regenerative health. We look at those that are playing in peptides. That is our foundation. Some of the relationships that we have that we're in the pipeline right now going through the like distributorship, the white labeling and the licensing, they're big organizations, like the world's second largest. So that is our foundation.
Hmm.
From there, the thing that well people are most curious about or worried about is, oh, well, has it been proven? Has it been trusted? You got to think that, man, we've done over 4,000 different individuals already. There's been over 500 medical professionals that have been trained in this field. There's over 50,000 patients that have been treated in this same concept. China's been doing it for over not it, but doing the facial analysis
Yeah.
for over 2,000 years. All we've done is removed the subjectivity out of it because everything when you're dealing on a face-to-face issue is on what their feelings were, where their mind was at, what the last thing they diagnosed, what they're thinking about, if it's not golf afterwards or a wine, tasting or whatever it is, right? So what we've done is with the automation, the AI, the machine learning, our algorithms, the whole technology that my team built is based upon objective information.
Hmm.
And that's what makes us so efficient. And why is the big clinics going to use it? Without a doubt. With Tim in 2 years, I know they will. We've had inquiries. I know we have eyeballs that are looking at this. And I've even had major, um, the biggest player in the health market look at this and then come back to say, how do you make it consistent?
Yeah.
So that means that other people are trying it, but what we've created, and right now, this is it. This is really our IP, our whole concept of true value is how we made it consistent. What factors and implementations and algorithms did we put in place that puts it in an output method that is consistent?
Excellent. So I want to go back to the doctor that was talking about his bottom line,
Hmm.
because you struck a
Yeah.
chord there. So let's assume that every medical facility in this country has this technology in their office, from
Hmm.
the ER to a pediatrician. Um, w- First of all, would the CIA come and grab you and like hide you in a bunker somewhere because you've totally rocked the financial industry and the healthcare industry? That's question number one. As a joke. But two, like really, what does that? I mean, what does that mean for healthcare in general? I mean, I know it sounds like it could probably expedite and provide better results, faster results. But is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, is that
From the
is that
question,
detrimental to the U.S. economy?
yeah. Now, so what? Uh, I can I can answer the question. The first one, like about the CIA and everybody. Just for nuts and bolts, this is not you're ID'd everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Any government building you go into, the airport, they have this thing called facial recognition, which is an identification of exactly who you are. And that can be identified at any time, whether you're a bus terminal, train station, it doesn't matter, right? Some school systems, but that's already there. So we're way beyond that point.
Hmm.
The AI, but we're not identifying, we're analyzing. And then, Tim, how many questions did I ask you when you logged in?
Yeah.
Zero, right? There's no questions, no surveys, no history, no personal PII,
That's
personal
amazing.
information that you had at all. It was literally an upload of information and the analysis that came back, right? So we're not interfering with anything. Now, our system, what we do, it's done in the cloud and it's done through high-tech companies and technologies. And we have a HIPAA compliance
Mm,
operation that's going in there. So it's completely encrypted. Nobody has access to it. Nobody can hack it. I mean, it's spread out over 100 different servers and it goes right back to the IP. The information's not emailed, it's not shared, it's not put up on a data exchange. It's in the IP that it goes back to, like your device to device. And then when we do it inside a company, it goes within their infrastructure, HIPAA compliance thing. We're literally just an API. What does that really mean? That means like we're just a card
yeah.
in the deck. We
Yep.
don't interfere with the workflow. It gets put in there. It takes 2 to 3 days max, and it's not complex, and it just allows you to pick up and go. So another part of your question is, okay, well, what about like business workflow? How would this be done? Why would doctors want to do it? Because when we talked and we mentioned about the very first thing that the doctor said, he was like, hey, that's going to impact my bottom line. Like I've spent most of my life selling stories. I've sold stories about in the military and out, right? You're always selling something like how easy or how great this is going to be or what we're going to do and why we need to do it and why we need X, Y, and Z, right? You're always selling something. So it's just putting a spin on it. So if we can make something easier, faster, and more efficient for you, wouldn't that be a great tool? Well, yes, it would. So from a doctor's perspective specifically, that if we made it easier, faster, and more efficient from triage to treatment, what could you do? Well, that means they can see more people,
Mhm.
they can have more data, they can actually have more CPT codes because now we've identified things that the patient didn't actually come in to see you for that might be relevant to why they're having this long-term healthcare issue or
Mhm.
sickness. So what we've really done is improved the Rolodex for that doctor
Sure.
on billable equipment, billable services, increasing his bottom line, increasing the number of patients that want to be seen or need to be seen, and just growing from there. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. So to put it like to correlate it to something that everybody would relate to. So number one, I have a physical, which is I have an appointment 6 months from now.
Yeah,
Six,
amen.
6 months. Um, so let's assume I go into that physical and we go through your technology and take pictures. Now, do those pictures replace the physical? Is it providing nearly as much information or maybe more information that than the traditional physical with your doctor would provide you?
Okay. All right, that's a really good question. Is if facial DX images or
Yeah,
imagery, as we do it right now, is going to replace the physical
yeah.
application or form that a doctor does. I wouldn't say that per se right now where we are in technology. The reason being, we are in a current still image phase where we take still images of the front, left, right eyeballs, and then we upload and analyze. What we're moving into right now, Tim, is an automated process where you can scan your face
Mhm.
in live time. So meaning like you don't have to stop, pause. Yeah,
Yeah, like
literally
that.
just a
Yeah,
swipe of the hand going
that's right.
across the face. And then would that still replace it? No. And this was a question that I've been asked a few times is, hey, is AI going to replace all medical doctors? No. I truly believe in my heart two things. One, the medical practitioner, the person to person, the face to face is needed. That social interaction is there. Robots and devices and tools are great to supplement a diagnosis, but not to replace the entire process. I always believe there is going to need to be medical professionals that are in there to make that final decision
Mhm.
because I guarantee that there is always a code or some bug in the system that's not going to, and it could be life or death difference, right? So if we are just supporting tools, it supplements, complements, enhances that physical aspect or that physical process that
Mm,
you go through for the doctor, whether you're doing it for coding, not coding, like physical sports or just an annual physical makeup. It's in there. So the way that it would complement it is now when you're going in, you jump on a weight scale. Well, you actually get a little tablet. People say, fill this out. You check it in. You got
mm,
like 150 questions, maybe 15, 16 pages. It's like,
yeah.
holy moly, man, this is ridiculous. Well, then all you would need to do is take a snapshot and that face goes through. And a lot of the last 12 pages that are, hey, do you have this or this or this or this could almost automatically be
Yeah.
checked off on the box
Mm,
because it's not there on your face. But then the individual could go through, is there any information that need to be updated?
yeah.
Like this is just one of the many different versions, but it could be done and enhance the report, leaving it more accurate. Because a lot of times people just don't know.
Mm,
One, and they don't care. They're frustrated that they got to fill out all this information. So going to a physical, now the doctor has the immediate answers.
yeah.
He has the big flags about life-changing health conditions that may be identified or features that are associated with it. And then the doctor can ask those questions while he's in there. Whether you went in there for you're having migraines or you had a back pain
Mhm.
or you got a broken leg, the doctor could do a mental, physiological, and a personal awareness check about who you are. Whether you said, yes, I feel like hurting myself, or no, I don't.
Yeah. So how
It's,
do I was curious, how does Facial DX's results compare to like a blood test?
no, well, that's
Is that
the
is
fish
am I talking about two totally different things now? I would imagine some
too.
of the results would be similar to show up in your test, right?
No, because we're completely non-invasive. So
Okay.
meaning that if like autoimmune, we have four of the five factors that need to be tested that are identified on your face and biomarkers that are towards the autoimmune. That the fifth one is what? You're gonna have to do a cheek swab, right? Well,
Mm,
that's invasive. You gotta swab the cheek, get the test to do it. But from the standpoint of is Facial DX compatible with a blood test? There, it's like apples and oranges. There's different things. You have awareness and then you have results. And even the blood tests that come back, unless you're testing for a specific item, it's not going to show. You
mm,
don't just do one test. That's why they make like 5, 6, 7 vials of it because they have to run independent tests along each one.
mhm.
Does that make sense a
Yeah, it
little
makes
bit?
total sense. Yeah.
So they're really apples and oranges, but what would happen is when the fact that it's non-invasive takes 2 to 3 seconds, you take a snapshot, you even just do a front-facing one. You do that, not even you as a patient, but as in the doctor or anybody, they hit submit, it goes up into the cloud. It's on the doctor's computer even before you could physically get off the
Mhm.
weight scale and go back to the next room on the right and sit
Yeah.
down on the bench and wait 15 minutes for him to pop in.
Yeah.
But now he can look at the results that are up there and say, hey, you know, maybe we could run a test. Maybe we could do that versus having you go out, see another one, come back again if you're feeling that way in 2 weeks, wait another 6 weeks to actually
Mhm.
get the test, and then find out you're healed and everything before you come back 3 months down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how many visits did you do? How many copays did you have to have? And then,
Yeah.
do you see where I'm going with this?
I
It's
do,
just,
I do. So for
you know,
somebody that's like maybe not so tech savvy, like how do you describe what the technology is and how it actually works? Obviously, without giving away too much of your secret sauce, but like
yeah.
what is actually happening when you scan the face and take pictures of the scan? Like what is your technology looking for? How is it working?
All right. The technology has come along, major advancements. Everybody knows that AI has been around forever and a day. And AI, artificial intelligence, is really a database of information, right? So that's nothing new.
Mhm.
It is just a hot button. It's a hot word, but it's the same thing. Like is way back in 1990s. It was all about AI. So what we've done is we looked at things that have been working or can work in concept, and we've improved upon it. So there's about 498 different biomarkers on your face, all right, in your
Yeah.
head, and all these features. We only identified 156 of them that were most, well, not even most, like we're going to advance on it. So I'm just saying they were the easiest ones to identify with 100% accuracy all the time. And then from that, we built it and we looked at what could we identify with those and the algorithms. Like there's over 13,824 different algorithms, variables that come together that link up and make something. Like identified features associated with PTSD, TBI,
Yeah.
depression, despair, the
What
reproductive
would those
disorder
be?
or prostate.
Would that be like, so like I have sagging eyes, or or
Hmm.
sagging bags under my eyes. Is that
Hmm.
something that AI is looking at as a trait for
Yes.
for a category of a whole bunch of potential things?
Yes, it's one of 156 different features. So every feature or biomarker in your face, in there's not to dive too deep into this, but there's like another underlying technology that layers it. So what we have done in the very beginning for the proof of concept was to identify if biomarkers can be identified in accuracy to the
Mhm,
point of accuracy. I wanted 98 was my minimum. 100% is what we were shooting for. Then we looked at those biomarkers and we ran sub layers underneath that of other technologies that are out there, very similar to like Fitbit.
mhm,
So people say, well, who are your competitors? We really don't have anybody that does the full blown analysis. Everybody is doing vitals analysis. And what do the vitals mean? The vitals means that it's taking a physical measurement of your heart rate, your blood pressure, your respiratory, your breathing that's
mhm,
in there. And then some have been incorporated a heat mapping in there. Well, that's a common layer of technology that can be implemented into there. So we have features of that embedded in as well.
mhm,
So when we look at the accuracy about what really makes us set apart is that we've taken concepts that worked, we built upon them to be 100% integrated into the system and to the point of accuracy that it took us 12 months of continuous testing to implement this into a technology that can be duplicated over and over and over again.
mhm. And Doug, do you like when you talk about biomarkers? And this is, I have no idea. So you meant, I think you
Uh-huh.
said 156. Was that the number?
That is the number.
So
Good memory.
is that the set amount of biomarkers for any human being, or are you're constantly adding and finding new biomarkers to
Hmm.
register? Like, is it like, think about like a software update? Are you constantly updating your software because you're picking up on
Yes.
more biomarkers and trade, not trademarks, but like
Yeah.
properties of that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you are correct, Tim. So 156 because they're the easiest, the largest, the most efficient,
Yeah.
that are visible. Not really efficient, but visible. They're the most visible biomarkers that are present on an individual. And then if you get more specific in there, think about it as time and money too.
Yeah.
We had a very we were bootstrapped. We are proving the concept. We weren't in the raising. We were using personal funds and favors. We were getting in there, and then we brought on some capital, and we were able to advance it. I was able to integrate our own team. We were able to pull everything in, so we didn't have to share or worry about people stealing our IP. So the biomarkers are just the 156 because they're there. They're visible. They're the most influential to the decision making process.
Hmm.
Now, are there others? Yes, there are. When we have more money, we scale, we look at other opportunities that are in there. Yes, we're going to grow or increase. But right now, from what you have and where I think a lot of tech companies fail, and then I've experienced this firsthand from business development, strategic partnerships, is that they try to wait till the system is completely perfect and it's never good enough,
Hmm.
right? But I understood, Tim, when we started, the whole thing was to fix the VA. It
Yeah.
was to say, hey, we can identify TBI, traumatic brain injury, 100% every single time. I don't care who you are, where you are. We nail it every single time. PTSD, let's say we get a 90% accuracy. It's better than 0 to 35% when the doctors are hit and miss. The doctor rotation turnover is so high. A single person's meeting 3, 4, 5 different behavioral health, mental health doctors before they can even get evaluated or diagnosed. So if we could just say, hey, look, you got a 50% chance or higher that you got these features associated with that, or maybe even depression or despair, then they can get treated easier, faster,
Yeah. I
right?
love it.
So the biomarkers, it's a cool term. It's a visual there. But the bottom line is 156 on every single person, unless like there's physical damage to the face, then yes, or you're missing your jaw or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're going to be missing some stuff. But the number person, everybody has it. 156 was that benchmark that we said. And then from here, we can always scale higher.
Yeah.
The market's ready for it. And then Tim, like one of the things is, well, you have any screw ups? Yeah, we had screw ups. Like, I mean, I've made 1,000 plus. I've made the worst decisions that any human can be, and I'm still alive, right? So there's something saying that. But from last year, we were supposed to do, we had a contract, a good sized entity contract, a lot of things, but it got delayed and delayed and delayed. I think we made $300 on it last year, and it was almost a $2 million contract. And it's like we're still waiting for this thing to go through. But the good part is during that time frame, we did a leap like from going 5 miles per hour to 150 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It was a blessing in disguise because now we're not bootstrapped. We're
Yeah.
not, we don't have the hands tied on the technology. We're way ahead of the HIPAA compliance. All these other companies are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to become 100% compliant with them. And we did it for a fraction of that
Yeah.
cost and it right out of the gate. So this February, we released our first consumer app live stream, and man, it's just phenomenal. So
That's awesome. And there's a lot of
yeah,
similarities in our story. And I think I told you when we first met, I do software development. I've been building something for years and bootstrapped like you. And like, I'm still waiting for it to pay off financially. But, the things that we're doing and what we've learned from our mistakes has made what we built that much better. And I don't have any regrets for it. I don't have any regrets not trying to go get a ton of money and build something with a team of 50 people. I respect the way that we did it, and I feel like it's a better product. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's probably a better product from all of the things that you've messed up on and learned from, because it's your money that you're ultimately burning and your time. So I want to segue quickly. We're running out of, we're coming up to an hour here. I want to be mindful of your time, but I want to
mhm.
segue into like just, you know, I guess like if you're somebody who's got an idea, someone who's just had that aha moment and is really pushing, making an effort to build something, like what advice do you have for them? Like maybe what struggles are you facing right now, or have you struggled? What have been some of the biggest hurdles for you? And what advice might you have for somebody that's got a great idea and wants to make their way in the med tech space?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question about what advice to give someone because we've all received advice, and
Yeah.
then what did we do with it? I think that's the biggest thing. Uh, one of the biggest One of the biggest thing is if you're married, talk to your spouse.
All right.
Because it's one thing to have your idea, and it took a while. And the fact is, I call it the filter. And I've been through different projects with my wife, and each one, there was a process about it. That communication, getting it out of your head, putting it on paper. Like I hate writing.
Yeah.
Typing stuff out. I'm like, why do I need to do this? I know what I'm doing and all that.
Yeah.
But then, Tim, I think we've all had like that, like, holy moly, man, what if?
Yeah.
And then one of the things that has become most important during this venture is if I were to die. If I was to be gone, how can this continue on? And that is why taking that extra moment, like, do you need to go out to business developers and pay $3,000 for a business plan? No, you don't.
Hmm.
Man, with technology where it's at, the fact that you can talk to your computer, you can organize it, you can have AI help you restructure it. Don't have AI write it because it fills in gaps and makes up stuff. But talking to the system, putting it down on paper, speaking to your close people, your peers, people that you trust, shoot the idea across to them. You don't have to give them all the IP, but be receptive to the feedback.
Yeah.
And then filter that information. Like, where is it coming from? Like, if you want to know how to become financially wealthy and do with your money, you don't take it from somebody that's broke and living on the street, right? You got to look at where their experiences are. How did they get there? The issues that they had. And it's different because everybody's different. We all have. I mean, I've been broke, I've been a millionaire, and then I've been $300 in my check account within a 2-year period. And so, you know, so it happens to everybody. And even now, I mean, looking at this history, if it wasn't, I have 8 investors that fully believes in what facial DX is. They are the reason why we're here because I
Yeah.
didn't have it. It was literally one of those financial, did a great investment, was amazing on paper. And then lo and behold, it went the other way so fast. There's nothing
Yeah.
that we could do it. And that leaving me with like a few $1,000. And they're just, I have 5 kids at home, man. Tim, you know this. They eat
5
that in a week of
kids? You
food.
have 5
Yeah.
kids? Oh my
5
goodness.
kids. Yeah, 5
Jeez.
kids and, like, they're like stomachs of 4 people. And so, but my point being that it's just a lot of information. Share the information, get it off your chest, put it
Yeah.
down on paper, troubleshoot it, be prepared to hear why it won't work and then find out how you can fix it so that it doesn't. But by
Yeah.
keeping it inside your head was the biggest error that I had in the beginning. Like my very first business, it took me 6 months before I cleared the first check. Could it have been a lot faster? Yeah. I could have mirrored somebody in something that was close to where I was at and then implemented my idea, removing
Yeah.
99% of the risk, if
Yeah,
that
man.
makes
No,
sense.
I love that there's 2 things that I can totally relate with. One is your wife. I've
Yeah.
I've been married for, I think, 16 years now, 17 years now, I think. And, I truly agree with you. Like if you have a spouse, like, and you're about to go into any venture, like getting them on board and believing in your idea is going to make your life easier for so many reasons, and laying out the risks and the potential of the risk. Because the last thing you want to do is you want to just take the risk on your own, and honey, 6 months later, shit, shit hit the fan, and here's the result of it. But if you can sell them on the idea moving forward, and those risks do happen, and those lulls do happen, which they will, at least there's an understanding that we knew that this was potentially going to happen. And then, like, AI, man, like, I think you and I are on the same page where. Actually, my wife is very jealous of Claude. I mean, she tells me every day that she's jealous of Claude and asks me how my day was with Claude. Um, but I think for anybody starting a business, whether it's in the medtech field or any business, like, figuring out how to use these AI tools the right way is an absolute game changer for your business. It really is. And you said something that was really important, and I think everybody should realize is that you shouldn't just ask these tools to do things for you. Like, you should talk to these tools, explain your ideas, and let it work with you. So, like, for me personally, like, voice dictation is
Hmm.
the absolute game changer for everything that I do, because I can assure that it's my voice, my tone, my perspective, versus like saying, "Hey, I need to write something, write it for me." Right. So yeah, for anybody listening, I mean, those are, I couldn't agree more with your 2 pieces of advice. To get the ones that are close to you to listen, to buy in, like, leverage these tools. And then you also said learning, like, listen and learn. I mean, that's something that at 50 years old, took me a really long time to learn, especially as a software, building a piece of software, is like, even if somebody gave me feedback, I don't know if you were the same way. When someone gave me feedback about my own technology, I'm like, no, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. But now I'm like, fuck, man, you're right. And I should listen to every single bit of feedback that comes through. And I do. So what I use AI for personally is, I record, like, when I do demo sessions for our platform, I do training sessions or demo sessions. I record all of those meetings, and I put them into an AI project that I have in Claude, so that Claude can always listen to, like, where my feedback is coming from, and I can actually make improvements, on the next push, software push. So, I mean, yeah, totally on the same page with you, man. I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm gonna let you go here. Is, like, I'm curious, what is your story's long, right? And that's not,
Hmm.
I'm not bashing you. It's a very good story. Like, if you've got an elevator pitch, 60 seconds to tell somebody what it is, who you are, and what you do, What do you tell them?
Yeah.
What is your mini story?
My mini story
What's your
is we are a health and wellness AI screening tool. And they say, well, what do you screen for? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, we identify life-changing health conditions, personal, physiological, and psychological. We make it easier, faster, and more efficient for decision making.
Mm,
And then they say, and then usually it leaves it open and they say, well, for what? It says for anything, whether it's dating services, human resources, employment, sports, because it's literally, it's anything. People say, well, are you a health tech company? And like, no, we're a health and wellness.
yeah.
We analyze. So it's like performance analysis and wellness insights. So we give insights to any decision maker that they may not have had from a piece of paper.
Yeah.
We make it easier, faster, and more efficient for everyone there on the board. And that's really what it comes into. And then a lot of the people that are interested are ones that have similar situations like you and I have that we walk through, and then it's like, man, we got to fix it. A
Mhm.
lot of the time, people don't have the time or the effort or the resources to do that. And like you, Tim, I thank you for your appreciation and I value your friendship and what you do. And then the understanding technology is the big thing. A lot of people, when it usually comes down to, Tim, that people don't care until it affects them directly. And that is literally every story that not every story, but like 90% of the stories that are there are my mom did this. My dad is in this. I went through this. Just came out of the hospital. So that headache is fresh in their
Yeah.
mind. And they're like, wow, we need this because of how easy, fast, and simple it is. And the fact that you can do it on your own phone, wherever you are, as long as you have internet, capabilities. It's not a download. So you don't need version 155. As soon as you plug in, it's the most updated version in the cloud, and you have access to it. You as a person, you're not getting all the details and the data that a doctor sees, but you see enough that you're, yeah, wow, it's good to know. And if you know, no one's half the battle. Now your body and your spirit and everything can process that information and
Yeah.
channel it, right?
So I know that I'm so happy I came across you. I'm so happy you clicked on one of my LinkedIn ads because like I got to meet you because I truly believe that like in 5 years from now, like you're gonna be in headlines and you're truly gonna change an industry. I don't know which industry you're gonna change. I know you probably have the industry that you want to change, and that's your passion, but I don't know where you're going to be because you mentioned like dating apps. I'm like, God, I remember dating on like I was on oh God, what was I was on Match.com, and like it would have been so cool to like if my wife, who my now wife, she had to take she had to take her profile picture, but like Match would have given me all of the the nitty gritty details about her before I spent weeks talking to her, taking her out, right?
Yeah,
So it's like you're selling the power of like of knowledge,
yeah.
through facial recognition. It's actually it's mind blowing, man, and I'm super excited to see where you take this thing. So,
Well, thank you. Well, Tim, just an enclosure about this whole thing. If you think about the human being as a species overall, right? God created us in his image and about
mhm,
what he's doing. And to understand, and we kept touching on the 156 biomarkers, and there's 498 that we know overall. Think about the depth of what that really means. Like the color of a leaf in a tree, what does it mean? It means something. Well, the features and biomarkers in your face, they all mean something. God put your face there as a map for people to understand and be able to understand it in communicating. And that I think is something that we've walked away from for so long. And that now that if you can actually look at it like that
mm.
and it will change. It'll change everybody. But going back to one of the things that you asked about was like, hey, where would he be 15 years ago if it was here? My wife specifically said, if we had this 15 years ago, we would not have been married. Oh,
Because
yeah.
they
So,
would have said, entrepreneur, risk taker, big
mhm.
thinker, all the things that scare most people.
Yeah, yeah, just, forward, yeah, a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, mostly good things, I hope. But yeah, without a doubt, she goes, yeah, I would have thought differently about it. And so. But
No.
it is what it is. And technology, no matter where it is, where it's made for good or made for bad, people are going to use it in their own way.
Yeah.
Our mission is while we're here to make it in the best use possible for the greater good. And where we're going to be in 5 years, I don't know. But I do know that we are here to make life easier, faster, and more efficient for a lot of people, especially in the sports industry. I mean, you have kids, you know this. Like concussions, the fact that we can identify it allows it to track it. I literally did this with my son. I think I shared the concussion
Yeah.
story with you. And it's like, wow, man, that's spot on. That's pretty I was taken back. I'm doubtful all the
Your
time. Like,
shit works.
yeah, I'm like, dang, that was really good, faster than I thought. Showing the changes in the face, man, it happens as quick as 3 and 4 days.
Yeah.
All the studies that are out there, Tim, say 10 to 12 days. Nobody wants to buck the system. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
change stuff. They're all cool with, hey, this is the way it's been for 60 years. I mean, I'm so sick of hearing that. Like, we didn't have computers 60 years ago that everybody was using.
Yeah.
We're doing it now. So let's advance. Let's make things better.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, you're a game changer, Doug. And, I don't have to tell you this, but, keep pushing. Just keep
Yeah.
fucking pushing, keep grinding, and, keep making believers out of the people that aren't believers.
That's it. And with time, it's people like you that make this
Yeah.
thing difference, right? It's those friendships that, keep pushing together. We'll change
Yeah, man.
one thing at a time. We'll make it happen.
All right. Well, buddy, thank you for the time, man. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you and talking about your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, but have a good weekend. See you.
You as well. Cheers.
Your story is the foundation for all your sales collateral. It's the starting point for building out your whole sales system. And most MedTech founders never fully tell it. That's why I built this show. Every founder who comes on walks away with a 10-page founder's pitch deck. Ultra concise, grounded in their own story. If you're a MedTech founder, there's 3 ways to get in. Come on the show, share your story, we'll build a deck together. Or schedule a one-on-one session. Myself and our team will help you uncover your story. If you'd rather do it on your own, all good. Just email me at tim@viewlab.com and I'll personally send you our MedTech Founders Playbook, a 5-step process for uncovering your story and shaping it into one that actually sells. Either way, reach out because your story needs to be told and we want to help you do it.